Welcome back to another episode of Love of Pages. Please, quick reminder, if you like this podcast, you can find us on geekelitemedia.com or on our YouTube channel, Geek Elite Media.
Mm-hmm.
If you enjoy us at the end of this episode, please go on your podcatcher and rate and subscribe to us so that way other people can find us and join us on this wonderful virtual book club adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Always
We
looking
want you here.
for more readers. So today we are on part 4 and 5 of Scythe. I am once again going to attempt to properly say the word throughout the entire podcast. We'll see if third time's the charm.
Like if you were reading it, how often it would come out incorrectly? Because it'd be like, Scythe Faraday, Scythe Faraday.
It's a word that, like, the more you look at it, the more it looks like it's spelled wrong. Like, it's one of those words for me. But it may also have something to do with drinking while reading.
Maybe that's why I've never mispronounced this one.
It's an issue.
maybe that's the trick. But on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica for our cocktail of the evening / mocktail.
So we decided for the old guard in Scythe, we are going to be drinking aloe vera juice. No, this is the old fashioned, which is actually pretty much considered one of the first cocktails, pretty much. I made mine the super duper traditional way, which is where you take a sugar cube, you soak that sugar cube in a couple of bitters, throw in a slice of orange, muddle it up, top it with however much bourbon you want, or like rye whiskey, and add a maraschino cherry, which has sunk down to the bottom, and a little orange slice. But yeah, it's actually one of my favorite cocktails in general. So,
and I took the cheater's way. So because I am somebody, I don't eat enough fresh oranges, that dissecting an orange for a cocktail seems wasteful to me. So I actually discovered these candied orange slices at Trader Joe's, which are highly useful. So I just shove one of those in the bottom of the glass and then pour the bourbon and bitters on top of it.
I couldn't find those anywhere because we don't have a Trader Joe's. So
this is valid. I stock up on them when I leave town, or actually when my parents go to Phoenix for doctor's appointments, they stop by a Trader Joe's and bring me back these coffee and other treats. And I forego the maraschino cherry because I don't like cherries. And I've never liked cherries. And I always get funny looks when I order an old fashioned minus the cherry. People look at me weird, but oh well.
There's nothing wrong with that. The last time I went to a bar, I went up and I was with Naima, and we went in and we were just getting food, but it was going to be like half an hour for the food. So they had us sit at the bar. And I was like, could we get two Shirley Temples? And the guy was like, okay, yeah, you want like vodka with that? And I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep, a dirty Shirley.
it's called a dirty Shirley.
I was like, no, I want a Shirley Temple, sir.
Look at you,
sir. But yeah.
Sounds about right. That's okay. My favorite is sometimes I'll go and drink with Mitch, and he usually gets Jameson and water. But if he doesn't do that, he gets something that's super girly. And I'm constantly like, no, I just want whiskey on the rocks, scotch on the rocks. Like, give it to me straight. Don't bother with any of the other stuff.
I mean, isn't Mitch then getting the drink that's like typically the like it's gonna mess you up more drink?
Yes.
Because the idea for girly drinks is like, ooh, they're girly, but like they're strong.
They are super strong. They're strong.
They're strong, and sugars help alcohol in your brain. So like sugars make you get drunk faster. So
yeah, you process it faster. Which is what happened on Saturday when Jessica and I were hanging out and we did a virtual party. And I made painful cocktails.
You did.
I know the cocktail was just... Cocktail. It was supposed to be out of like a less than normal container.
Yes, it had to be something. You had to have your drink in anything but a cup. So Mitch and I bought a watermelon, and I used the halves of the watermelon after I scooped them out. And then I mixed the watermelon juice with tequila, triple sec,
That
a little
sounds
bit
scary.
of vodka, and then some simple syrup.
Triple sec sounds scary. As a person who doesn't drink in any way, shape, or form, it sounds nuts. Like that sounds like a bullet type.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
There are other liqueurs that are more dangerous, like peach schnapps. Definitely killer. You don't taste the alcohol in that one.
I see.
But it's great for Jell-O shots. Anyway. Moving on. So if you want to drink with us, old fashions. We did find, I don't think Stephen was able to find all the ingredients, but a mocktail version of the old fashioned, you replace the bourbon with barley tea.
I do have that here. I messed up.
Oh. I was giving you a way out, Stephen. Shh.
Yeah. Sorry. I just want to be honest with you, listeners. But no,
so, go ahead.
No, you. I think we were going to do the same thing here.
Moving on to the footnote.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in charge of the footnote, and I took notes because that's who I am. So we thought because of all of the Scythe's colorful robes, and the only rule being that you can't wear black, which I found very interesting, we thought it would be fun to talk about the history of color symbolism. So I'm hoping most everybody's familiar generally with the color wheel, color meaning symbolisms. And so I have always been really intrigued by what brings those things about. And so it is both an anthropological and a historical study on color symbolism, because anthropologists can find evidence, along with archaeologists, can find evidence that suggests color symbolism began as early as 90,000 BC.
Okay.
So,
what are the examples for this?
So, in terms of, most of the evidence has been found in like grave sites and different types of people wearing similar colors. So, like males wearing all similar colors, females wearing similar colors, and so they think that there was definitely a hierarchy of symbolism there, as well as in different pottery pieces and tools from around the same time period.
It also probably does help that there was sort of a hierarchy of how to make those paints.
Yeah.
Like for the longest time, like blue was really rare because it only came from a certain flower or something.
Well, purple and scarlet have been the most rare, which is why. So when you move into more recent history, between the 5th and 17th century, color symbolism was really dictated by religious beliefs and religious contexts, which is why you see cardinals wearing red, scarlet, because it was exceptionally hard to find, particularly to get it in that deep a color. And purple saved for Advent, which would have been the most holy time of the year because purple was so exceptionally hard to come by. Purple also being reserved primarily for royalty at about the same time.
Yeah.
What's really important, though, to remember is that color symbolism is very context dependent. It can change even within the same culture over time, but certainly between different cultures. So, for example, we were just talking about purple. In a lot of Western Europe, purple symbolizes royalty, prestige. But in Japan, it symbolizes evil and infidelity.
Yeah.
The same symbolization for evil and infidelity are blue in East Asia, other parts of East Asia, and yellow in France, which I don't ever think of yellow as infidelity being American. Like, yellow is just fine and happy. Like, it's not a color I describe for infidelity.
Yeah, it's summer colors.
Exactly. So it's an interesting changeover. And then because of what we're talking about, the one I found really interesting was the color for death. So if I tell you, give me a color for death, what is the color that the two of you think of?
Honestly, I go to like a deep green.
I go to white, like lilies.
So in the US, it's typically black,
Mm-hmm.
the color for death. However, in East Asia, it's white. And in Iran, it's blue.
Is there was one, I forget what the thing was. There's a, is it Korean culture? If you there's something with a red pen. I forget exactly what the thing is. I can look it up. But there's like a death significance to writing with a red pen.
That would be interesting, because so the other thing is like, what color is a warning color for you? Like, if you were to see a warning sign out in the world, what color would you expect it to be?
I mean, we've gone to the ideas of red, orange, and yellow being our culture.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like, if you think of the stock market, what color symbolizes up?
Again, it's green. We have a system for this one.
Yeah.
But in China and other East Asia cultures, it's switched. Green is the symbol for downtrends in the stock market, and red is the symbol for
it's great. There's also
I mean, they wear black for weddings.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which is way cooler.
Oh, yeah.
But there's also like across if either of any of you guys play any kind of video games or anything, US games, your button that's on like the bottom middle of the controller is your affirmative one. The one that's on like the top or like the middle right of it is your like exit or negative. In Japan, those are switched. So if you're playing Animal Crossing and going back and forth between like your PlayStation and that, oh boy, is that frustrating. Suddenly you're saying no. You're like, yeah, I would love this. I would love to take this. And you're like, nope.
I didn't even think of that. As I have such issues playing Animal Crossing because I always hit the wrong button. And I'm like, God, why is this wrong? I'm like, why can't I figure it out? And that's why I can't figure it out.
It's a bear.
Oh, gosh.
So, but you can even see changes in color symbolism change over time. What color is the color for girls?
Well, currently
right now.
it's pink.
Yeah.
Currently, it's pink in the US. But in fact, prior to the 1950s, girls were dressed in blue because it was considered a softer color, and boys were dressed in pink because it was a more fierce color, more akin to red.
Mm-hmm.
So those actually have been switched over time within the same culture. So for those of you interested, there's a lot of information out there, but you do kind of have to dig, because when you try and Google the history of color symbolism, they just want to tell you about what it is currently.
Yeah.
And it's highly unhelpful. So you do kind of have to dig into the scholarly research to get there, but it can be done. So there's a footnote on color symbolism.
Yay.
Interesting one. Thank you for that.
So I'm going to toss it back over to Jess for getting us into the book. Although, speaking of which, I was really thrown by this section.
But it's the final section. See, look, I had absolutely no control over this ending, so you cannot blame me right now.
You knew it was a trilogy. You knew when you recommended it that it was a trilogy. It's going to leave you guys just like I said it was going to, and I was going to be unhappy. And
I still told you,
happy, but unhappy. And I've already ordered the second book.
Good.
Yeah.
But
speaking from the end of the trilogy, it's a good time.
It's a good time. I'm glad I got you guys into it, though. I'm so happy. Yeah, so I don't even know what my first question is. I guess my first question should be, so how did you think? Did you like the ending? Are you surprised at all by the ending?
I liked the ending very much. I was a little surprised because I did not expect Citra to be quite that ingenious. Like she built this up. She's smart. There's no question that she's smart. But you don't get cunning from her. And her final move at the end of this book, very cunning.
For anyone who somehow is relying entirely on us for plot, what is her final move?
Okay, so again, the plot, we left off the end of part 3. She had jumped off the High Blades house. Over the cliff, and splattered. So, and then Thunderhead, so we open, Thunderhead has very diligently stepped in and like almost saved her. Saved her.
Yeah, he saved her. Yeah.
He saved her with a clever loophole, which I was waiting for. I'm like, there's no way you have an all-knowing and almost all-powerful computer that can't find a loophole to some of these issues.
Yeah.
And assuming that the conditions appear right. And Citra created the correct conditions. So that was the first clue that was like, oh, this is new. This is a new side of Citra that hasn't been explored.
Yeah, and I do like the foreshadowing for that moment for the Thunderhead finding the loophole was when Rowan killed or deadished her the first time, and all you get from the Thunderhead is, you can hear me? Interesting. And that was it.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people might have just been like, what? And then later on you're like, so that's how he figured it out. Like, I can talk. Like, he's been constantly trying to talk to her.
Trying to figure out where that little loophole is.
Yeah.
And so he can't interfere, so he can't give her a ton of information, but he ends up giving her a name. Gerald Vandergats. We're not sure if we should be pronouncing it very English, American, or very German.
So it's G. Vanderg.
G. Vanderg. And then he very discreetly has her moved to the farthest possible recovery center available.
Yeah.
Because he knows he has to notify the Scythe the minute she wakes up, but he wants to give time. So then she
have to make it easy.
Yeah. So then she wakes up, and Scythe Curie is there, and basically is like, "I'm gonna have to carry you out of here. We just gotta go."
Okay.
And so she zips her off in her, off the grid car, which I'm like, now I get it. Now I get why she's so attached to that classic car. Like, because like you get the hint from Scythe Curie that she's not completely sold on like power structures, and like she doesn't trust like systems of governance, no matter what they are. Like, she's very skeptical.
I mean, she definitely has made her stance on
even the one she belongs in.
Yeah.
Like, well, she made her stance on organized governments pretty clear a couple decades ago in the book. So
a couple hundred years ago, yeah, she slaughtered the entire.
I'm going to take out the president and all the cabinet.
I mean,
Done.
Okay, you can go. So she takes her to Central America, South America. I can't remember which direction it goes.
I forget what the name of the actual place.
She ends up going through the Amazonian center. So I assume South America.
She ends up in Amazonia because that's where she sends Citra to hide. Because I do love so Citra starts to wake up. She's in this hidden Scythe's house, and Scythe Curie kind of gives her a quick rundown, apparently, of Scythe Curie's past with Scythe Faraday and their foray into romance. And the fact that they died 7 deaths for each other and then didn't see each other for 70 years, which was quite romantic. But
7 deaths doesn't seem like that much.
Can we? Yeah. Well, yeah. But can we also mention how she first liked him and knew she liked him, and he just thought she wanted to murder him? Like,
the page. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems very accurate for like teenage girls on an older guy. Like, I definitely feel like that definitely that's very realistic.
Like, why does she want to kill me? Oh, you liked me.
Oh, that's what that was.
She's just like, I was fairly intense back then.
I love how she says it as if she's not intense now.
Yeah.
But in any case, she also gives Citra G. Vanderg. I like it. As a name. And so, I mean, the book definitely did a good job, because I was totally on track of, this is a person who's going to know how to take down Highblade, or has, back information on Goodard, and like can prove how Goodard killed Scythe Faraday. Like, that's where I was tracking on this. Like,
I did not get to that same spot. This is interesting.
I thought
something different.
What did you think?
I thought this was going to be someone who was like if this world was to be believed, this would be a person who was more responsible for what had happened to Faraday.
Okay.
Okay.
So she tells Citra, okay, you have to go to Amazonia because they don't like other sites and like they won't hand you over. And so then Citra goes on this, adventure where she's like almost getting caught, and then she does get caught, but she gets saved by an Amazonian Scythe who's like, you crossed over to Amazonia. I will end you if you try to touch her. Like
that they waited. It was like, wait, no, like just a couple minutes.
Just wait.
Like, and now we're in Amazonia. Yeah.
We're here. We're good. And I did appreciate the fact that she used the tonist as the cover, which was very interesting because, we always talk about how in reality we have parts of our society that people just try and avoid looking at.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see that kind of played out in a more grand scale. But anyway, she gets to Amazonia, she gets to G. Vandergee, and it turns out to be Scythe Faraday.
After she shoots him, though.
After she shoots him.
just to be Faraday, who has no idea what's going on, has nothing, thinks he saved the day with his self-sacrifice, just walking out on the patio, gets shot in the knee. What the?
Yeah, okay. So she shoots him, finds out who it is, panics slightly, and then they solve the problem, and then Faraday is pissed, like utterly pissed. So Scythe Curie goes back, explains the whole note situation, gets Citra cleared, much to the upset of the High Blade. Then we turn ever so slightly to Rowan.
We're for Rowan just for when we needed to be for Rowan. We didn't need all that. He gets 3 chapters.
If that. I think he gets 2. I think there's only 2 chapters in here for him. But he is superb in those 2 chapters because Goodard decides that they're going to go kill an entire colony of Tonists. And they all go, and he decides that this will be the day that Rowan does his first gleaning. And so they go in, and he does his best to try and get people towards the exit, to get people out. And he comes across, it's
Volta?
Yeah, Volta.
Comes across Volta, and Volta has gleaned himself after Volta gleaned an entire classroom of children.
Yeah, because he went in accidentally.
Yeah, that was definitely like a heart-wrenching scene. That was really tough to read. And it just sends Rowan over the edge. So he goes to confront Goodard, and he ends up murdering all of the Scythe.
All of them. God, burning flame.
And then he puts on Goodard's robe and ring, and he sets the place ablaze because the only thing that is unfixable is fire.
It's one of the interesting things is that at the beginning of all of this, whole book, the whole franchise, I thought of this idea of the rings being like they're an assigned thing, and then the ring that's your ring, that's it, very much not the case. The only person that we see that did anything that would make it theirs, quote unquote, is Faraday, as far as I know.
Yeah. Well, and I get the impression that Curie did as well.
It's a possibility. I have no idea.
So at least that's the impression I was left with. It's not like we were explicitly told. So he sets it all ablaze, burns them to a crisp, and they both arrive at Winter Conclave. Him infamously, her a little less so. And they get through their test. This was an emotional roller coaster ride because the final test is you have to kill somebody you love.
Well,
and
killish, but yeah.
Yeah,
deadish.
deadish.
But
Yeah.
still, you have to be the hand that ends them, even though they're going to be revived.
I thought it would be an interesting one if they had to actually kill them and then, like, that's it. You know? Like, I
thought so
don't.
too, but I thought that would be a bit much, particularly because the only one we see is Citra.
Mhm.
Where we go through Winter Conclave from her point of view, and she has to kill her younger brother
with a knife.
with a
too,
knife.
which is just
Very personal.
Yeah.
We find out that Rowan just gets the gun, and it's his mom, right?
Yeah. And he just
And
like
he just shoots her
immediately.
with no. But I mean, I guess after you've actually killed 3 people, like, yeah.
Well, and also one of the things that we saw in the beginning of the book, which I didn't like at all at the time, but is important foreshadowing for the rest of the book. Still feels a little bit out of character, but I don't write it, so what do I know? Was Rowan being like, yeah, I know, like that was my uncle, and like I did do this. Like he very much took on the persona of being the bad guy early on. Like he chose to do that rather than have anyone just come at him and him not have some kind of recourse. Like he takes on the persona of the bad guy very easily, and I think we're seeing him do that in this.
So they get to the end and they anoint Citra, and she takes on the Scythe name of Anastasia in a very poignant moment where she looks at the Highblade and goes, you know, I will be the life that could have been. Like, don't mess with me. You tried to take me out early, and now look what it's got you. Don't play. And so when she's called to glean Rowan, she turns around and she punches him with her signet ring.
Because he murdered her. Like,
he murdered her. So she's
allowed
like,
her revenge.
This is for breaking my neck. So she punches him and gets his blood on her ring, which is his DNA, protecting him for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was very cunning. It was very cunning. And then she basically gives him a heads up, like, "Hey, go and escape now."
Mm-hmm.
While they're thinking about what to do.
Car.
Yep.
Go.
Yeah.
So he jumps into the car to find Scythe Faraday, and presumably at some point we'll get told what the hell just happened.
Presumably.
like he hopped in, he's like, it's like his Uber. He gets in the car and he's like, okay, no, I gotta go to 4th and 22nd. Faraday? I gotta go to 4th and 22nd.
What?
You gotta go. Okay.
But so I thought the punch was very cunning. Like, I really liked it. Like, that's a very clever way to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Much better than Rowan's, like, because we listen to Rowan's monologue throughout about how he's going to solve the problem, which is basically just to, like,
murder everybody.
Scythe. It gets into which I'm like, very masculine tendencies of you. Like, I expected a little bit more, but that's okay.
I'll never let anybody come near. Okay, dude. Calm down. I do like the kind of sort of Han Solo Princess Leia moment. It's like he says I love you and she's just like, same here, get out. Like, just like I love you. I know, get the hell out of here.
Like, I don't have time for this.
Okay, yeah, you gotta leave. Good.
Yeah.
Anybody who's there's the rest of it for anybody who needs.
Was there anything that you guys that went counter to what you may have thought was going to happen as it occurred?
So
I feel like probably I have to go back to when I first read it, but probably when Rowan murdered oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? Goddard. Yeah, when he murdered the whole clan, I think I was, because I knew it was a trilogy, I was like, that's a little early. Oh, okay. So
yeah, that didn't surprise me very much because I always saw Goddard as the small potatoes villain.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of like, you've got I guess the best way for me to think about it is like Loki in the MCU universe. Like, yeah, he's the bad guy in the first Avengers, but you kind of get the impression that, like, he's not the bad guy.
Yeah,
like,
he's not big bad.
He's
Or
not
the-
bad. Like, there's there's something out there because, like, to me, I'm like, Goodard doesn't rise through the ranks unless there's a bigger bad out there.
I understand that one. I'd like to see what would be the bigger bad would be an interesting one.
Yeah.
You know,
I am curious what the bigger bad is because there is 2 more books, so there has to be a bigger bad. But the ones that shocked me were Faraday being G. Vanderg, because that was not what I expected. And the other one was how quickly Scythe Curie was able to clear Citra's name. Like, I expected that to take a whole lot longer.
I feel like it probably did. It time jumped pretty significantly. I think it time jumped like 3 months at least.
I expected like more effort. Like, I expected there needed to be more like scheming and like maneuvering.
Well, I feel like she said it
like, hey, that's actually about me from,
Yeah.
They would date the paper and ink or some such thing.
Yeah.
Well, something like I have to scrounge through the back brain of the Thunderhead or something.
The only thing I would say to that is look at how things were resolved when Godard put forward a fake complaint so he could staunch the thing, and it was resolved like in an instant. Yeah, and they're like, who said it? Nobody said. Okay, nobody said it. It seems like circumstantial evidence is more than enough for them.
Yeah.
It's just been like it's doing like quote unquote due diligence. It's paying lip service to the idea, and then they're okay.
Yeah. Well, or how quickly the Highblade was willing to just accept. Like, he's like, yeah, no, I can make accident go. I can make accident work with Goodard's death. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, he didn't.
I got you.
Xenocrates did not like that guy. And
No.
I mean, most people don't even like that guy.
No.
The people that quote unquote like that guy, they're just like, it's more like out of fear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or they see the potential for their star to rise with his.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but like, I'm with you. It was kind of like, this is not an acceptable court of law. Like, there's no your judge, jury, and executioner are all the same person, as is the person prosecuting you, and like, there's no rules and evidence. There's no standards. Like, it's like,
It's like you said earlier when you were like, I mean, these rules seem like you could twist them to your will real easily.
So
That's
easily
definitely the
corruptible.
Yeah. No, like the first time we're introduced to those, the 10 commandments or 7 commandments, what have you, I was like, and you could go like this with this, so you could go like, I solidly spent like half an hour going, how many ways can I F this up?
I know. I feel like that could have been the story idea for Neil Strusherman too, is just like thinking of the 10 commandments and being like, well, what if the first commandment was thou shalt kill? And like,
honestly,
what world would that be in? Like, that's how some writing ideas start, is just one sentence idea, and you're just like, gotta build a world around this one idea.
There was a comic that when we went to the shop this last weekend, the comic I'm sure was based on the title, and the title was Vampire State Building. And so I'm sure the entire idea is based off of that one pun,
That would make sense.
It happens all the time.
So, anyway, yeah. Overall, I'm mad at you, Jessica, but I appreciate you. And now I have 2 more books to read on top of our next book.
Wait, I was wondering, with this one, did you guys want to approach talking about the sequels maybe in like a one-off podcast for each of those things rather than doing the parts at some point?
I'm down.
Because I'm not against it at all.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it.
Well, you guys are going to have to give me like at least a week because it's supposed to get here Thursday.
Yeah.
As we have
for the second. Oh, no, this will be later.
Yeah, it can be later down the line because we also have 5 million shows to watch too for Geeks Watch, which is our other podcast.
It's true.
Yeah, if you actually like listening to us, we have Geeks Watch on the Geek Elite Media Network, and we watch fun shows. Currently, we are finishing up The Great. We are in that process, and then we will be doing Cursed. That's the one you're doing, Jessica. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm reading.
That's a little bit of that's almost a crossover.
It is. It could be because I'm currently reading Cursed right now. So.
Yeah, the love of Geeks Watch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I'm definitely up for a one-off on each of the sequels, but you got to give me some time because my schedule's a little booked, despite the fact of not being able to go anywhere due to COVID.
Now, for anyone that's out there, if you guys get to finish the book and everything, let us know what you thought about it too. Either do that here, like in some kind of like comment situation, if there's a comment system on the platform that you're reading this on or listening to this on, or get at us on Twitter. We'll tell you about those things at the end.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any other final thoughts on the book?
I was surprised. It was better than I thought it was going to be. Even though it's still leaned into some of the things that for me end up being like the hallmarks of like the mass market YA fiction. I in no way, shape, or form was I mad about it. Like I still had a great time and obviously went and immediately bought the next 2 books. So
no, yeah, I'm with you. There were definitely the tropes, but they were done well. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't mind a trope when it's done well. As opposed to just thrown in there because you're supposed to have it.
Yeah,
that's true. No, he's a very talented writer. Oh, I'd also like to give a shout out to my friend Dominique, who's listening to us right now. But she also, I forgot she got her master's in teen librarian something. But she actually, I did a paper on him about how he's apparently a very controversial writer. So she did a paper about his
interesting.
Yeah. I wonder what's controversial. If her thing is posted somewhere online, that'd be an interesting one to read.
Yeah.
So if we can get Dominic's approval and find it somewhere for you, we will figure out how to post it, attach it somewhere to the podcast so you can go do some further research. All right. So I guess, is it time for me to do my elevator pitch?
Yeah. What are we reading?
Our next book is got all of the things. It has romance, it has murder, it has mystery, it has magic, and it has recipes. So, The Accidental Alchemist by Gigi Padden, Padian, for those who need a spelling. The Accidental Alchemist follows our main character's name is Zoe Faust. And she is an alchemist originally born in Salem during the Salem witch trials.
I wonder if the Faust part is important to the character.
You'll have to read the book to discover. But
interesting.
She comes across, upon moving to Oregon after traveling the country for the last 50 years, she buys an old fixer-upper house outside of Portland, Oregon, and she unpacks herself to find a living gargoyle statue that needs her help. Who also happens to be a trained 5-star French chef. So there are by the books, there are recipes in the back of the book for the meals that are described in the book. So
interesting.
It literally has everything. It is a series, so I'm probably going to get accosted for the same reason that I was accosting Jessica recently. This is a 4-part series.
Oh, mine's only 3.
Yeah. Each one is standalone, but there is overarching storyline to all of them. But hopefully you will all come and join us for The Accidental Alchemist in 2 weeks, because we're going to take a week off to give you some time to find the book, buy the book. It is purchasable on Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble. I am sure your local bookstore will be able to find it for you as well.
For anyone who's looking for an audio version of it, it's exclusive to Audible.
There you go. For those of you who are listening along with us now, I actually did initially read this in audio form. Audible was the first place. I have listened to 3 of the 4 books. I stopped because I was hoping to get Mitch to catch up. He is yet, so I will probably just end up listening to the 4th one on my own. But,
you don't need Mitch for this anymore. You have us and everyone listening.
Right?
Yeah.
Huzzah! I don't have to read anymore. No breaking glasses, though. We hope that you will join us for The Accidental Alchemist. Until next time,
Wait.
Jessica, where can people find you?
That's the one. Yeah. I thought we were going to close out for a second. I was like, no.
No. Jessica, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter as JM Bailey Writes, and you can also find us on the Love of Pages Instagram.
And Stephen, where can people find you?
You can find me across all social media as either Peppermint Gent or Peppermint Gentleman.
And you can find me with the rest of Geek Elite Media at Geek Elite Media. Our Facebook page is /Geek Elite Media. And our website is geekelitemedia.com. Archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts, including Geeks Watch, are located on geekelitemedia.com. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe so that other people can find us on any of your podcatchers.
It helps out.
So please keep turning pages and always remember to
Geek out.
Out.